Hello everyone, everyone's favorite everyone here, Lads. And today, since it's October, I've got a spooky story to tell you all today. It's the story of how I died. Let's get to it. Once upon a time, at least like a month ago, I was at a garage sale when I noticed a strange find. It was a physical copy of Garten of Banban 2, only for 99 cents. Now, I'm a total Garten of Banban fan, much like everyone else. So, how could I resist an offer such as this? So when I walk up to the homeowner to purchase the magnificent game that is Garten of Banban 2, when I asked to buy the game, they said it wasn't for sale. And I questioned why would they even put a price tag on it if it wasn't for sale? So I did what anyone would do when they cross a situation like this. I stole it, of course. What are they gonna do, call the cops? On the ride home, I felt this eerie feeling around the game, as if it was filled with the pain of all the people who did the parkour section of the game. When I got to my room, I realized I didn't have anything to put the CD for the game in. So I put it in my Xbox 360 that's been broken for years. Wasn't even connected to a TV or a power source of any kind, but still, as if the Xbox was starving and finally had been fed a meal, my PC turned on, the game started to run, and then I braced myself for some vacational fun. Everything was normal except Jumbo Josh, who usually lies there incapacitated. He was now laying in a huge pool of Javanium. The substance is basically the blood and everything else for these creatures. He also looked skinnier, his ribs showing, spine sticking out, and bony fists. Although worried, I carry on as normal. But when I get to the speaker room when Banban first talks to us, instead all I hear is heavy stressed breathing echoing from the speakers. But being the Garten of Banban pro I am, of course, I solved all the puzzles. When I got to Nab-Nab's section, he was notably different. He was bruised and appeared just as skin and bones, like one of those tiny African kids who has to walk 4 hours to get a bucket of dirty water. I got away from him as fast as I could on my 2 little legs. But when I finally got to Banban's room, I was expecting him to look freakish like Nab-Nab. But no, he was weirdly normal. That wasn't until the hyper-realistic blood came down the Banban's face. But then, in the game, where, you get knocked out, and I got a huge headache and passed out in the realest of life. I awoke to see myself in a puddle of my own blood, and a huge scar on where my appendix would be. I was in the game, like Jumanji, like, the Minecraft movie.
You've copied my beard. Oh, by the way, this is a friend of mine.
I am Steve.
I am Steve Rogers.
I limped to retrieve my drone's controller, my best son. Solved the puzzle. Weak from the blood loss, I lost my balance and composure many times harvesting the Javanium from the puddles. I slowly got myself back together and found out Jumbo Josh has moved. I was confused because his body was way too large to fit in those tiny-ass doors, but glad nevertheless that my friend had survived. As I carry on, I ventured into this godforsaken kindergarten. Then I found Jolfish, who looked the same, to be honest. But then I arrived at the testing sector. There I walked through the faded hallway, once bright with neons of all sorts. Then, at the end of the hall, in the dead of black, I saw it. The bird. Its bloodshot stoner eyes gazed at me as if I were a cupcake and he were a predator. It had a more mangled appearance this time around, almost if like Big Bird from Sesame Street got addicted to crack and was painted pink. Then it leapt at me and chased me down the hall. But as I was being chased, I saw the most horrifying thing yet. A white woman. There, I had to make a choice. Either be mauled to death by a bird, or be yapped to death by a woman. I figured I had to risk it for the biscuit to even think of living for a few more moments. So I booked it towards the pale temptress's trap. If you believed it couldn't get any worse than this, you'd be dead wrong, Betty. She led me straight into a classroom. I was starting to second guess if this was better than being eaten and mutilated alive. They insulted me right to my face. I had no say in this. It was either their way or no way. They made me play all these really compelling but albeit slanderous evidence pieces of me supposedly collecting pictures of my ex-wife's OnlyFans. I had to play my part or else it would be leaked. They asked me strange questions like where I was on September 8th, 2022. And after answering the barrage of questions and playing with balls, I took my chance to escape. After a very tight squeeze through cramped halls, I arrived at the bird nest. The wrinkled, featherless, half-naked bird fetuses stretched their necks far to look at me as I came down the hall. Their screeches flooded and scraped into my ears as they went ham wild in the playroom. I opened the door, unknowingly letting the bird. I slipped through, escaping the bird as I went for the chicks, as they were easier prey. I saw it pretty typical because predators always go for the little ones. But then, I met with the snake. It had rough, leathery skin, dozens of eyes, but it glided through the floor with ease. I got away using a survival tactic that everyone should know. That being, snails can only see you when you move. Then, I shot fireworks through a cannon, just hit buttons. Then I had to absolutely do rigged parkour over the Sarlacc pit from Star Wars. And after 1 hour and 46 minutes, I made it to the winner's quarter and was greeted by the marvelous prize of an empty-ass plate. There, he came up from the elevator shaft. Banban with his bloody eyes and British teeth kept spouting nonsense on being a god. So then I just dipped. But that's when the chase started. The white lady, boiling with rage, likely due to it being the time of the month for her, period blood flooded her eyes. I ran as fast as my flesh extensions would take me, and then, if things couldn't get any more tense, Jumbo Joss wasn't there to save me. And at the end of the line, he arrived. As my green savior crushed the wicked wench, he gave me a fist bump right before I progressed into the next room, still knowing who I was, even in his hellish form. Then, I descended, even farther down into the abyss of the kindergarten, through the elevator, not knowing what horrors came next. The end. Now, you may be asking yourself, lads, didn't you say you died? Well, that would be true, dear viewer. I am dead. On the inside. I had to talk to a woman. Do you know what that does to an incel like me? I literally died after the computer spit me out. But then, I lived. That's all, folks!